Ooh. Okay, so this is going to be pretty interesting because this is actually what I've been thinking about ever since I saw the Oculus Rift come out. I knew it was the first version too. I knew it was kind of janky, but I knew that this is going to be a problem because, like the cell phone back in the days when it was massive, and it was just like, oh, this is the future, right? It's like pretty impractical. I see Oculus Rift as the same thing, this giant thing that's strapped on your face. But I know in the future it's going to get smaller and smaller, where it's going to be the size of contact glasses. They already have the smart glasses, which they're developing. It's still kind of dorky with the Google Glass. That's why they call them like a glass hole, because people were wearing it and they were, acting as if they're all snobby and everything. But I definitely see a future where this becomes a thing. And okay, let's just read this right here. So VR porn is going to lose a generation or future generations. We had the first generation of P, where it was pictures and videos, now custom work. Or is now custom work? I don't know what they mean. The next iteration is going to be custom work that can walk around in and basically be in the room. So every angle, hear everything live. If you're struggling now, imagine these kids who are roped into technology as it is will be trapped. As they scale this technology and make every cartoon more realistic, it will be a new level. Godspeed, everyone. Stay strong. Let's take a look at some of the comments. Only we can save the next generation. This is the right answer. We have an obligation to better ourselves and become role models for future generations. The great leaders of the future will be people that can hold themselves to high standards and demonstrate self-discipline in an undisciplined world. Oh wow, look at this guy. This guy's at 171 days. Congratulations, man. Just for that, I'm going to upvote you. We owe it to our kids also. I started being a little preachy at work, but when people talk about porn, I've started calling it out for what it is, an addiction, even one at that. We all do have to take a stand in our own way, what we're comfortable in doing, but still a stand. We do need to help the next generation. Yeah, so that's definitely a very interesting post, and it goes off of what I was talking about. I definitely like this person right here that posted, see VR as a really big threat and potential risk for harm. And of course, all this is just my personal opinion, even though I've worked in mental health as well as addiction. This is not to be taken as medical advice, but I do see it being a really big risk, because if you haven't done the background, or if you haven't gotten deep into kind of like some of this stuff already, especially coming from, my undergrad was actually business and media marketing communications. So I have the business side, I understand media, but also my master's is in psychology. So when I see this, why porn nowadays is so potent is because in the older days, like the more modern porn that we can still kind of are familiar with is Playboy. So Playboy, right? Ooh, like nudies, that's awesome. And even before Playboy, like before there was any type of porn, we have been, beating the meat for eons, since the beginning of man. If you believe in the Garden of Eden and that story, or even the Big Bang, as soon as we had hands and we were able to grip, or we were in the garden, whatever it is that you believe, we started to do that. All right. So since the beginning of time. So, in my clinical and personal experience, I wouldn't say that masturbation orgasm is all that bad. Granted, I would say that it does reduce your motivation, and it's not the best thing that you could be doing in life. Like, how ambitious are you going to be to approach Ashley or Susie or Janet, or go after a certain opportunity when you've constantly reinforced to yourself an easy way of pleasuring yourself, an easy way of feeling gratitude, of being instantly gratified without really earning it? Like, it only takes 5-10 minutes and a little bit of privacy and your hands, right? So the qualifications for feeling good is pretty low compared to how good you can feel. On the other hand, right, we got this porn that evolved from Playboy, just a couple images, you had to go to the store, you kind of got to hide. It's static photos on pieces of paper, and so there wasn't much novelty. Like, it wasn't as stimulating for your brain. And then there's the videos, which became super hyper stimulating because the videos changed so quickly. If you learn a little bit about the neurobiology of our brain, it really hammers in our synapses for our dopamine receptors, which is what makes us feel good, which is also a part of our drive. It makes us want to crave, makes us want to pursue, makes us want to do things. And so when our dopamine receptors are fried from the videos, because the way it's fried is because a part of it gets activated off of novelty, and that's just another term for just what's different, what's new, what's different. And because it's moving images all the time, it's very stimulating for the eyes. There are a infinite amount of genres. There's group, there's BDSM, there's interracial, there's midget, there's bestiality, there's black, there's blondes, there's infinite. You already know, right? So there's so much novelty. There's the video, there's the color, then there's extremely high resolution. There's the sound, there's different position, there's different body shapes, and so there's so much novelty. So that really fries our brain and holds our attention. And so we just keep seeking because we're being hit. Our brain is being hit by dopamine, and so we just keep constantly watching because the novelty of it is so high. It keeps changing. You take this and now you add a different sensorial experience, and you feel like you're actually there. Like if any of you have used the Oculus Rift, it's definitely a lot more of an engaging experience. It takes you that much further towards reality. Again, getting back to what I was talking about, without the hard work, without the connection that you've put any type of real effort into it. So the pleasure's high without much effort. And so this teaches your brain that you can get an easy source of feeling good without putting much work. And so that's why a lot of guys, they have depressive feelings, they have low motivation, laziness, there's a brain fog because your brain is fried from shooting off way too much dopamine. It's too much stimulation and for low effort. So everything else in life, it seems like it's so much work and it's so difficult to overcome without putting in the effort. For instance, if you're watching this video right now, I asked you, did you kind of have a hard time to kind of pay attention if you even made it this far, or were you tempted to click on something else? I would say the vast majority of you, 99% of you, had the temptation to click something else. So it's the same phenomenon that you're experiencing on YouTube as you are for the porn sites. And you make this VR and make the whole orientation, different angles, and make you feel like you're even there that much more. Lethal, potent. This is going to be a really big problem. I could definitely say that, especially with COVID and everything like that. It's changed the way our society is. It's changing relationships, TikTok. Yeah, I see this as a really big risk for abuse. And I think we're going to look back in several decades, which damages are already going to be so high. And we're going to look at it kind of like cigarettes. I believe it was back in the 50s and 60s when the industry was behind this because they were making so much money. And they paid doctors, and the doctors were like, what? Cigarettes? Harmful? These beautiful white cigarettes harmful for you? No, this is good for your health. It's going to be the same thing for porn, because in my profession, when I was working as an associate clinical therapist, it's still being promoted and still promoted right now. It's 2022 as of this video, and people are still promoting porn as a very beautiful and liberal way to explore your body and your sexuality. And on one hand, okay, in some cases, I would say it's not too bad in small doses, just like cigarettes and alcohol. There's a coming of age when you're exploring different identities and, trying to fit in. And so in small quantities, and for some people who don't have the predisposition, it's not as of a big deal. But I'm saying on a larger population, it has a large potential for harm, a large potential for abuse.